and PostQuiz pages, which are two features that we have recently launched. So I'm going to go ahead and dive right in. And my name is Kelly Byers. I am the Customer Success Manager for bucket.io. And we are so happy that you've joined us today. Oops. All right, so to begin with, what is a custom domain? Some of you may be familiar with this, and some of you maybe are not. If you have reached the publish stage in 2.0, you've probably seen the different domains that were available, so that has recently changed in adding the custom domain feature. So a custom domain is a unique branded name that's going to identify a website. These are also called vanity URLs, pretty links, clean links. There's a couple different names for them. Some examples of those would be choosequiz.com. I'm sure some of you are familiar with that. There's a quiz currently that is built on 2.0 using a custom domain called wedquiz.com. It's a great quiz, and it is tailored towards people who are dealing with their changing wedding plans in the time of COVID. And then Amy Porterfield, who is a partner of ours, I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with her. She hosts her quiz on amyporterfield.com/quiz. So she basically takes a subdomain of her regular domain to host all of her quizzes. So that's definitely an option as well. I know that in speaking with a lot of you in the past, you've been a little hesitant to host your quiz on your real domain. So just note that there's always that option to do something exactly what Amy did in setting up this subdomain. So I've also added the bucket.io domains that you can choose from. So again, as I mentioned, I'm not sure if some of you have made it to the publish stage just yet, but once you do, there is a drop down where you can select a bucket domain. So you've got goto.bucketforms.com, goto.bucketpages.com. You can select any of those, but always note that there's going to be a unique identifier on the end. It's just kind of a string of letters and numbers. So what are the benefits of using a custom domain? So there are a couple different reasons that you would want to go this route. It definitely helps in building your brand awareness and the reputation of your brand, because of course, if you've gotten to that point where you have an established brand, people know who you are and know who your business is, you certainly want to do all that you can to promote that. It's also going to help increase the confidence from your audience. So having a custom domain attached to your quiz kind of helps you establish credibility, and it may help with giving people that confidence to actually click in. Otherwise, they could be like, I don't know, I've never heard of this. I don't know where this is coming from. But using your custom domain can definitely help with click-through and hopefully conversion rates. It's also just going to create a more professional look. If you're not hyperlinking in an ad or an email and you're actually putting the link in, of course, it's going to look better if it makes more sense and it's short and to the point and it represents your brand. It also is going to help improve your search engine positioning. And then, of course, it's just easier to recite. So if you're maybe shooting a video and you want to relay the name of your quiz, we do have a lot of customers who are podcasters, and they often want to, of course, mention the name of their quiz in their podcast. And then if you happen to be a presenter from stage, of course, it's just a lot easier to use that custom domain. So there's just a couple of reasons to use. And then I think it's also, I didn't add this on there, but I think it is a little more Facebook friendly in the world of Ads Manager when you're using a custom domain. So I'm going to turn it over to Dennis from our tech support team, and he is going to walk you through adding and using a custom domain in 2.0.
Thanks, Kelly. And hi, everyone. So I am sharing my screen. Please let me know in the comments if you can see that. So I can get started. So right now, I am in the custom domain page, but just to make sure that I can get you show you how to get that to that part, I'm just gonna go back real quick to the dashboard because some people may not know how to get to that point. So I just wanted to get that from the very beginning. So this is the dashboard of your 2.0 account. All we have to do initially is click at the top right corner where your profile is, and it says My Account right here. So we click My Account, and from this menu at the left-hand side, we click on Custom Domains. From here, we're just ready to register our domain in Bucket. Now, before we get to this point, there are a few things that have to happen outside of Bucket, and it's basically on your DNS provider. So earlier, you should have created a seed name or register a seed name that is pointing to our platform. Now, if you click Add Custom Domain, you will get these instructions here. And you can also find the instructions in our knowledge base. I'm going to switch real quick to the knowledge base. So click on 2.0, and under General, you'll see two articles, Add Custom Domain and Use Custom Domain. So the Add Custom Domain also has the instructions and a few of related information, but this is basically the instructions that you need to follow for your DNS setup before getting into this page in Bucket right here. Now, if you have already completed this step number 1 on your DNS provider, which is basically registering this domains.bucket.io in your CNAME of your either custom domain or subdomain, you are then ready to come to this screen right here in Bucket and click continue. Please know that you should click continue if and only if you're 100% sure that the CNAME has been already registered. And for a few of you, if you have used Bucket 1.0 in the past, please know that the process changed a little bit. In Bucket 1.0, we used to register A records, but in Bucket 2.0, it's no longer that. It's now we use CNAME. So just wanted to mention that for the record. So because I'm ready to do this part, I'm just going to click continue. And I have previously set up a few domains, which I'm going to just pick one of those domains and place it here in this particular field. So this is my domain, test4.getbuckets.com. Yours, of course, will say something totally different. So now it's just a matter of click this green button, create and verify domain. Now this will automatically place the verifying status of your domain, and it gives you this confirmation message. This verifying will soon change to verified within 5 minutes. That's how long the process takes to verify and validate your domain. 5 minutes top. Now, if there's anything that went wrong, if the Bucket was unable to to confirm or verify your domain, it will give you errors. And those errors, some of them are listed here at the bottom of the knowledge base. Either this could be the case, missing, not configured, or check DNS. It gives you a message on what to do if you happen to get an error configuring your domain. And again, this is when you get fail instead of verifying. So you want to get or refer to this article that gives you few of information about what could be the reason. But if your case is not listed here, feel free to reach out to us to support@bucket.io, and we'll look into that for you. One additional, I would say, information that I want to provide while I wait for this verifying process to change to verify is that if you are not 100% sure if the CNAME is being registered correctly, there are a few pages on the internet that you can use to confirm or check the DNS settings of your custom domain. I use this particularly. This is the one I usually use. So if I just want to check on my DNS settings, I usually go here, click search, and go to DNS records, I'm sorry. So as you can see, it does have a CNAME pointing to the right place. So this means that I should be ready to go in no more than 5 minutes. So I'm just gonna refresh, see if that changed. If not, I'm just gonna give it a few more minutes and see, there you go, verified. Now, so that means that you are ready to use it. Now, something else I did want to mention is that just using or accessing the root cause of the let's see here. Let's see here. Sorry, I lost the page that I wanted to open. Sorry. Get here. Okay, great. I got that part. My apologies. So yeah, as I was saying, I did want to mention that just putting this root domain in your browser, it will not open any funnel automatically because the system does not know what exactly is it that you're looking for when you put this URL. So we do need to publish funnels before we can use it. So the system can show you what is it that we're going to open and what's the funnel. And one more thing, you can register as many domains as you want and use the exact same domain to publish as many funnels as you like. Now, I'm just going to go to the process of publishing a funnel to use any of these two domains that I have registered here. So I'm just going to pick one of our templates from the top menu, and I'm just going to choose any, just for the demonstration of this exercise. So I'm just choosing my template. It's loading. So from here, say I'm already done with the configuration of my funnel. I'm going to click publish at the top right corner. And here it's going to give me the list of domains. I can either go for bucket domains, but if I have my own domain, of course I want to use mine. So I just want to click here, any of these two, and just click publish. Now I get the entire URL with the funnel ID, so the system will be able to open a funnel for me. And again, this is test number 2 bucket.com, but it will have your actual domain in it. And well, that's basically it. And I do want to recommend, just to finish my demo, these two articles from the Knowledgebase. One says add a custom domain, which gives you the instruction that you need to set up your domain. And the second one says how to use that domain in Bucket, which is what I just did earlier. And well, that is it. I'm going to turn it back to Kelly.
Awesome, Janice, thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again. All right, so I hope that everybody found that to be helpful. Again, we do have knowledge-based articles available related to custom domain if you need any further assistance. And then it looks like Juan's doing a pretty great job over there of handling all of the questions and comments, and now Janice will be joining as well. So we're trying our best to stay on top of those. And then of course, if there's anything we don't get to, you can always email us at support@bucket.io, and we're happy to assist, because I know that sometimes there can be some confusion and questions about exactly how this works. So we're going to shift gears a little bit and move on from custom domains to this new little feature that we've launched this week, kind of quietly. So I don't know if you've been in your Bucket account and have noticed that there's a little bit of a change in the canvas. So just for reference, I've chosen to use the easy single question outcome mapping V2 template. I know this is kind of our most popular one right now, so I think a lot of you are familiar with this one, but this is where I'm at. And I'm currently in the canvas already. So the changes that we've made are related to the quiz outcomes and the post-quiz pages. So the way that it was set up before was basically that you just had an outcome page. And from that outcome page, you could set it up to kind of work as a sales page, or you could mention that you have a webinar. You know, it was kind of vague and broad. And then there were options to, of course, put external redirects on the buttons as well. So we've changed things a little bit. And now we've got 2 different sections for the quiz outcome. So what I'm going to do first is explain how to get everything onto the canvas. And then once we have things on the canvas, I'm going to dive into each component, and then I'll demonstrate how you're going to make your customizations and edits to those sections. So starting with quiz outcomes, there are now 2 options for this. So of course, this flow is very typical of any funnel. It starts with a pre-quiz page. It's going to go on to questions. You've got your quiz results section over here that's kind of in the background. And then it's moving on to lead captures for each bucket or outcome. And then this has shifted to now just a thank you page, which is kind of generic. And it's basically just saying as soon as your customer opts in and gives you their contact info, a message pops up that just says, thank you so much. These are the next steps, blah, blah, blah. So now what we've changed on the quiz outcome page, so kind of before, I guess, we would have, instead of this thank you page, it went from the lead capture to just an outcome page. And the outcome page usually serves the purpose of displaying the results, or maybe a teaser of the results, and then following up via email with the actual quiz results. I know that we've been pushing a lot to shoot videos and post the videos on your outcome pages so they can be structured in a lot of different ways. So the difference now is that you can have an outcome page over here that's just an outcome page. So if you want your funnel flow to basically go from lead capture to an outcome page and that's it, this is the option that you would use. So I want to stress something that's pretty important here. The last thing we want to happen is for our customers to spend 30 to 45, maybe 60 minutes customizing the outcome page, but then maybe you change your mind and decide that you want to add another component or you want to kind of change the course. Well, that would not be an option with this outcome only page. And the way that that's indicated is by this green checkered flag. So this is something that's new this week. Any component that has this green checkered flag indicates that that is a stopping point in the funnel. So once that's added, like over here, I would not be able to add anything else to this flow because it's stopped with the flag. So that's something that's very important to note. So if you just wanted an outcome page only, you would go and add that over here. So I'll start with that. I'm going to delete this thank you page that's there. So now you can see we've got a warning because we have an open connection. I'm just going to grab the outcome page and drag it over. Slide it up a little bit. I'm going to make this connection by grabbing one tab, grabbing the rope and joining it over to the other, and you can see that we've gone to 0 warnings. So now, and you can see that green flag is there, so that is the stopping point of this specific path for the customer. So I'm going to delete this thank you page as well. Now we're going to go to outcome to PostQuiz page. So basically, it's the same kind of setup. The outcome page is going to look the same. It'll be edited in the same fashion. But the option with this component, once you drag it over, pull that up a little bit, make my connection here. Now you can see that this is open. So you have the option to add on a post-quiz component. So I haven't really touched much on these, but I'll kind of explain these to you really quick. So there are 4 options currently. And the first one is called the sales page. So I don't want there to be any confusion or mixed messaging here. So I want to make it very clear. The sales page should be thought of more as like a transitional sales page. So the verbiage, the structure that's set up on there is kind of setting you up to successfully ask for the sale. But this is just kind of a pass through. And even though there is a shopping cart on it and it says sales page, you still would have to connect this page to some sort of shopping cart, any kind of payment processing platform that you might use, because Bucket does not have that functionality as a quiz building platform. So I just want to be very clear with that. But if you want to use this sort of transitional sales page, you go ahead and just pull this over, drop it, and then you'll need to make the connection to get rid of that warning sign up there. So we're good to go. So I'm going to move on. I'm going to delete this one as well. I'm just going to add every option so that you can see what these look like. We also have the option to set up a webinar page. So once they go to the lead capture, they would then be taken to a page. You can either you can shoot a little video giving kind of a preview of what the webinar is going to entail. You can kind of do bullet points to explain what it's, what the content's going to be, all of that. You're just kind of enticing them to sign up. Then they can actually sign up for the webinar as long as you've got your either Zoom or GoToWebinar account integrated with Bucket and you've got your webinar scheduled. You can go ahead and just drag those times over onto that page and your customer can actually select the time that they want. So I'm going to go ahead and just connect this to close that loop. Something that's very important to note, for this component, you have to have a lead capture because we're not asking for contact info on the webinar page. That's taking place on the lead capture page. So it's just something to be mindful of. All right, so I'm going to, and again, I'm just going to add all of these components on, and then I'll go back and kind of dig in specifically. So then the next option is a thank you page. I'm just going to leave that because it's already there. going to scroll in a little bit. I'm going to delete this last one. So I explained to you what the thank you page was, just a kind of a generic, hey, thank you so much. These are the next steps. And then the other option is external URLs. This is pretty self-explanatory. You just want to make that connection. And then you do have to, I'm just going to go ahead and add this now to get rid of that warning. So when you add your external redirect, if you don't immediately add the URL that it's going to, you'll see that warning up there. So I just wanted to go ahead and get rid of that right off the bat. So now I'm going to scroll up to the top. I'm at outcome 1, and I'm going to go to, I'm just going to kind of quickly cover, I think a lot of you are probably already familiar with this, but I figure a refresher won't hurt since we're here. I'm just going to show you how to make some customizations on this outcome page. So currently we're in the canvas where we're just kind of adding all of the components, excuse me, getting everything set up. Something in my throat, I apologize. So I'm going to go ahead and hit edit. So you have a couple options here. You can either build from an empty page or you can use a layout that we've provided. I highly recommend selecting the layout. As a lot of you are aware, using the templates and the basic structure that we've already created is going to save you a lot of time. Kind of takes the guesswork out of how you should be setting things up. So we always recommend using our template when it's available. So I'll show you just a few things to edit over here, starting with this title, Wealth Coaching generic logo. This will be something you want to swap out. So I'm going to double click this. If you have already uploaded images to your Bucket account, they're all going to be displayed right here. So I'm just going to find my Bucket logo. If you have to upload something from your desktop, you would just click here, and then you're going to start seeing this collection of images that kind of follow you along with each funnel. So it's really easy to add new images. You just click confirm. That's a little big, so I'm just going to click on it, and I'm going to grab these handles and just kind of size it down a little bit, and I'm happy with that. Now for the countdown timer, you just want to make sure that you come over here and you're selecting countdown. So these little labels up top are going to let you know basically which component you're going to be editing. You select that, head over here to properties, and then you can kind of dictate if you want to add days, hours, if you want to add some time on it, just kind of pop that up, and I'll do just 20 minutes, and then it starts counting down. Here is your end text. So basically you have to let the system know what you want it to read when it has expired. So of course this just says expired. You can say, sorry, you missed out, anything that you choose to do. And then you can set up a redirect page here. So if they happen to click there, they're still taken to your offer or the webinar registration or something of that nature. So you would click redirect page and then you'd put your URL right here. So some other elements that you may want to edit, I'll show you how to change out the background color here. You just want to make sure that this whole row is selected. We're still in properties, which is kind of, where you're getting down to all the nitty gritty of the design elements on this page. So you want to just look for the background color section. They're also labeled by color, so it's kind of easy to spot. If you have hex code that you know that you want to use, you just paste it there. Otherwise, you can use our color selector and kind of find anything that you want. I'm just going to maybe lighten that up a little bit just to show you how to do that. And then you just hit OK, and we're moving on. Oops, did not mean to do that. Go back to that. All right, and then your text boxes. So of course, you're probably going to need to go through wherever there is text and just, sorry, I'm just going to get caught up on comments real quick. You're going to want to go through wherever there's text. You just double click in this box. You highlight the text that's there, delete it, new words here. And then you can stylize this any way you want by highlighting it. You can change the font. You can left justify, right. You can bold it, anything you want there. This is your result. So if your result is QFBP or UR result comedian or UR result expert marketer, whatever your result is going to be. Something I want to point out that's important, you do set up all of your outcomes in your quiz results, and you connect your quiz results to your different outcome pages. It is important to note, though, that none of that information actually transfers over. So you do still have to write the label on each corresponding outcome page so that it makes sense to, of course, the result that they reached. So now moving on to the video, if you do want to put a little video in here, you would just make sure that this video is highlighted. I'm going to go up here. I'm still in properties. I'm going to scroll up to the top. So you can see here, this is where you're going to add your video. You're adding a video ID. So it is not embed code and it is not a link. That is important to note. It's also important to note that we only currently support YouTube or Vimeo videos. So if you have your video hosted somewhere else, you will have to host it in either YouTube or Vimeo for this to work. I'm going to keep it on YouTube because that's where my video is at. I've got this one over here. In YouTube, the ID code is right here. So I'm just going to copy it, head back over to Bucket, delete the video ID that's there, paste this in. And then you can check here if you want it to autoplay, if you want it to go on a loop. You can have the controls showing or not if you want to show related content. And now you can see that my video has updated. So moving on through this page, the footer. So a couple things over here. If you say you don't have any pages to link, so of course, by having this footer, you're going to need some content that's going to have a link to get there. So you're going to need a section that's about us, terms of service, privacy policy, maybe you want to contact us, anything that you choose there. This is kind of, pretty standard in what people usually place in these sections. So if you don't have any pages to link, this question comes up a lot. What do? You don't necessarily have to have this on here. So you can simply hit that trash can and delete the whole section. No big deal. However, if you do choose to put some links in here, I'll show you how that's done. So you just want to make sure, this is kind of covering it, but it does say link above there so that I know that I'm going to be changing the link. Click About Us, and then we're still in Properties. I'm scrolled all the way to the top, and so the text is going to read About Us. You would go ahead and put your link in here, and then you can dictate if you want this to populate in the same window or to open up in a new window. So you just make your selection, and you're all done. And you would continue with terms of service and privacy policy. And this is always something that's really important to test when you're previewing your funnel. Of course, you can always preview up here. And once you've gone live, that's just another thing that you want to check to make sure that if ever there's a place for you to insert links, that you have in fact changed out those links. And also, I just want to note, while you're in this section, all of your changes should be auto-saving. This is also something that you want to pay special attention to and just make sure that it is saving every time you make a change. And if for whatever reason it's not, you think there might be a problem, that's when you can always reach out to us at support. So this covers the outcome page. This was probably a refresher for a lot of you because I know we've covered a lot of this before. So I'm just going to scroll up here to the top. So we've covered outcome 1. Outcome to PostQuiz, really the only difference there is that you're able to attach on another PostQuiz page to it, but the editing is going to look the exact same. So I will not go into editing that because it's going to be identical. So the first one we have is a sales page. So I'm going to go ahead and click edit, and we're going to go back to Canvas. Again, I always recommend the layout in case you're, feeling bold and brave and very creative and you want to create it from scratch. You can choose empty, but we're going to use the layout today. So again, pretty similar to what we were dealing with before. These changes that you want to make are probably going to be quite identical. Just kind of double clicking in the sections that need editing. I showed you how to do the video. So this would be to apply now. So you have a link here for this button. So this would maybe be, if you're somebody who has a, coaching program that's maybe $15,000 and you just want to make sure that the right people are coming in, you would have a process attached to this button that's going to allow them to go through an application stage. So that's just kind of one example of how you can use the sales page. Of course, there are many different options for this. So maybe your first step in creating a connection prior to the sale with your customer would be to set up an appointment. You know, we have a lot of customers who like to do that, and on their sales page, they link their Calendly account for scheduling so that they can talk to people on the phone first and kind of, you know, feel it out and make sure that they're a good candidate for their product or their program or whatever the case may be. So there's no one way to do this. You can really add any link in here. And as I was mentioning before, if you actually want to complete the sale and take the customer off to a place where they can actually purchase something, like maybe you're selling a book on Amazon, or you have a collection on your e-commerce website that's going to be perfect for these people that ended up in this bucket, you would just link there and the transaction happens over there. But we have kind of set this up, at least we've given you the framework so that you know, it kind of walks you through that whole sales process. So you would change the link here. You just want to make sure that your button's highlighted, that you see link, head on up here, apply now. You would add in your link and again dictate if it's this window or opening in another window. So one other quick thing that I'll show you in properties, just to make sure I'm kind of covering it all. A really simple change to this page is to change out the background color. So you just want to highlight the button, scroll down. Again, you can change the hex code here, or you can just click in this color selector, find the color that you want, and change out your color. And then over here, and this is a good time for me to mention too, and I think we've been stressing this quite a bit, but I can't say it enough. If you're choosing to use a template in 2.0, we do strongly recommend that you stick as closely to the template as possible. So that is kind of the reason that they were built, is to give you the strong framework. We feel very confident in the way that the templates are set up. A lot of testing went into this. You know, people from our company have used these, or our customers have used these similar templates, and we know that they work. So we want you to have confidence in the fact that you don't have to come in and sort of reinvent the wheel every time you do this. And I'm sure some of you have realized that if you do try to get too creative and try to change too many things in the template, it sort of breaks. It doesn't work all that well. And the reason for that is just because it was built for simple adjustments and edits and customizations like I'm showing you, but not to kind of redesign the whole thing. So it's just something to keep in mind. So like this section, you'd probably just want to click in here, highlight this text, of course, make it make sense to what your goal is and make it align with your business and all of that. But then maybe have just these 3 bullet points to sort of explain what's going to happen next. Over here, you can add a picture, so I'll show you how to do that. I'm just going to double click. Again, my little library of images is going to show up here. I'm just going to select the image that I want, and there you have it. And then again, we've got 2 calls to actions through here, so you just want to make sure you update your link, change the color again, kind of make sure it's all fluid, and then you've got your footer down here with all of your different links that need to be updated. All right, making sure my changes are saved. I'm going to pop back out to Canvas to go through the next component that we've just added. So I'm going to scroll up, and we are moving on to the webinar page. So again, I just want to stress that if you are setting up a webinar page, you have to have a lead capture and bucket. So you have to capture their contact information because they're not entering that on the webinar page. They're literally just selecting a time that they want. So I'm going to click Edit. I'm going to go to Layout 1 because that's the only way to do it. And then I'm going to scroll down. This is kind of redundant, so I don't necessarily have to go through all of this with you again. But this is a section that's going to be a bit different. So over here, you basically have, we've added these webinar components. So let's see. Oops, I think I do need to go back. Let me make sure my integration is set up. So I'll go through that really quick. My apologies, I thought that was already done. So I'm just going to go over to settings. And then I'm going to click on integrations. And I've got GoTo Webinar already set up. So I've already made the initial integration to GoTo. I guess this was actually a fortunate mistake because now I can show you guys kind of the details of how to get this set up. I chose to go with GoTo because for whatever reason I was getting an error from Zoom. So I know this isn't the most popular right now, but this is the one that worked for me. So I'm using GoTo. But you want to go through the steps that are laid out in our knowledge base. So if you go to the knowledge base, which is in the upper right-hand corner of your dashboard where it says help, and then you go to native integrations, that is where you're going to find articles on how to integrate your GoToWebinar account, your Zoom account, and it's very, very simple. GoToWebinar is literally just, you click a link that's going to send you some code. You go ahead, it's like getting permission to make the integration. You grab the code, paste it in Bucket, and that's all it takes. So once that initial integration is set up, you do have to continue to integrate at the funnel level. So that's why even though it's already set up on this particular level or funnel, it wasn't actually turned on. So now I'm just going to go to integrate to funnel. I'm going to save the changes. This is another important thing to note. So while you're building things in the Canvas and the builder, the changes are automatic. But when you're doing anything under settings, so like doing your custom domains, setting up Facebook Pixel, Google Analytics, GoToWebinar, all of this, you do want to make sure that you're always saving your changes with any new action that you take. So all you have to do is toggle this over. Just going to slide that over. I'm going to save this again just to be safe. And then I'm going to pick just a couple tests so you can see what I'm doing here. Slide those over. So the part that I'm not showing you is what happens in GoToWebinar, but of course you have to go into your webinar account and make sure that these webinars that you're hosting are already set up. So then there'll be options here to turn that on. Save changes again, just because I can't help myself. Then I'm going to go back to Canvas. So I'll go back to this webinar page real quick. I'm going to go to edit. So I'll scroll down. Okay, so there they are. Now you can see this is new, the webinar components. So you will not need to add, if you're using this template, you will not need to add the webinar list because as you can see by highlighting over this section and the label that's listed, it's already the webinar list. So that's already there. If you try to grab this and drag it over again, it won't let you add it. But what you do need to add are your different webinars. So I have these tests set up. So I'm just going to drag these over here. I'm going to grab my second one and drag that over as well. And now you can see that you've got two options displayed for your customer. If you just have one option, that's perfectly fine. They'll still need to check that box to make sure that they're registered. And then down here on click to continue, of course, that's just going to take them to the next step, whatever you choose that to be. That could be some kind of confirmation page, anything that you choose there. So my changes are saved. I'm going to pop back out and go to Canvas. We are almost done here, so I'm just going to slide over to the thank you page. So again, this is just basically saying, you know, you might kind of want to remind them of what the offer is, what the call to action might be. You're going to go through and just double click, kind of change anything you need. If you want to change out this background color, change the countdown timer, you just make sure you're on the countdown, head over to properties, change that. I'm sure you've already experienced this, but just to remind you, there are certain elements built into these templates that are graphics. So you want to treat graphics the same as you would an image. So these are graphics that we have either created ourselves or hired somebody to create, and then we've just added them to our account as we did with an image. So if you see something like that on your template, that is something that you just need to replace with either another graphic if this one doesn't pertain to you, or you can put an image there, or you can just delete it altogether and have nothing there. So you'll go through, make all the edits that we've been doing in here so far, and then you can still put an external redirect on here. So if you just want to have a thank you page, but maybe you still want to send them to like Calendly or something of that nature, you can certainly do that. You just click here and you go ahead and enter your link there. And then the other changes are the same, again, with the footer. So the last element that we have is just the external redirect, which we've basically already done. So if you want them to go straight from the lead capture page and they hit submit or sign me up or yes, please take me there, then you would just tack on this external redirect. Make sure that you've got the full web address in there and it'll verify that it's good. And then of course you would want to go through and preview your funnel and test it in every single different way, different combination, and make sure that you're getting the desired results. Just make sure that all of your links are checking out. So that's of course something that's very important to do. It's also important to note that when you're in preview mode, you guys, most of you may already know this, but we're not logging any of your responses. So it's not going to sort of muddy up your analytics. And then even once you go live, if you want to test, you can still go click through and you can remove your responses. So that is kind of it for me. I think we've sort